Well, hey everybody, and welcome to Hotspot. This is episode 3, and I'm so excited to be sitting down with some of these amazing students right now. Now, Hotspot, it's a real conversation with real students about real life. And so we're so excited to have everybody here. On the screen right now with you, we have Tiffany. Say hey.
Hey.
We have Zach.
Hey.
We have Este.
Hi.
And we have Matt.
Hey.
And Matt's got the flow going on right now. Love it. These are some great students, some great high school students. And it's so great to have you guys. Now, some of you might remember Este. She was on episode 1, and it's great to have you back. And so today I think we're going to have a really great conversation on a subject that I think a lot of high schoolers can definitely agree is a big part of their lives right now. We're going to talk about stress. Exciting, right? I can't wait. It's so exciting. But the reality is that stress sucks, and stress is just part of life. Stress is something we have to deal with. And I think it's really easy to underestimate how much stress a high school student like you guys can go through and can experience. And I think that speaking of underestimating high school students, I think it's really easy to underestimate high school students in general, but I get to work with high school students every day, and I think you guys are amazing. You have so much potential and you have so much to offer. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation and just to chat about this. So it's a unique season, and we're all sick and tired of hearing that, this unprecedented times, this, you know what I mean? Like all the different words and language that's been used to talk about COVID and all that. And we're like, I just don't want to hear that anymore. Right. But one thing that has definitely happened in this season is there's been lots of stress. Right. So what would you guys say is like the biggest thing that's causing stress in your life right now? Like if you were to pick one, I know it's hard, but like, what's the number one thing? Tell us about it.
I think for me, the number one thing of like stress is definitely school. Because like it's always like new due date or like new assignment coming in, like every single day it's new something. It's just a lot of stress to wake up knowing that you're gonna get that new assignment from school.
I know this is shocking, but a high school student just said they're stressed about school. Like, is that, but it's a little more because it's been online and then back in person and then online again. Right. And that adds even more stress.
Yeah.
It's new. Right. Yeah. That's true though, Zach. No, there's nothing, just because it's not surprising to hear doesn't mean it's not true and real. Like high school can be really stressful and there's a lot going on with school and it's different. Yeah. What about somebody else?
I agree with Zach. I have a hard time trying to balance like everything, especially like school with work, because like, of course, I have it at the beginning of the month where I'm like, you know what, we're going to be at home, might as well pick up more shifts. And then suddenly we're getting slammed with assignments and I'm like, oh no, how am I supposed to do all of this at once? So I think that's kind of where the most of like my stress is coming from. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. But
it's like balance, right? That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's true. Do you guys actually feel like your teachers are almost a little like, I'm going to give them so much because I want to prove that they can still do schoolwork online?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think actually. Because like the job is to be on like school, right? It's like, so my teacher, I'm used to her seeing like all fully dressed in that class, like ready to go with her coffee. But now I'm seeing her laying down on her couch, like life is easy on the Zoom meeting, like, hey guys, welcome to class. Like, I'm like, okay.
I mean, if you were to be honest, you're probably wearing sweatpants too, right?
Yeah, or no pants. I mean, that works too.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as they can't see it, whatever, right? You're at a desk. I mean, it's from here down. Yeah, that's fair. What about one of you other guys? What's been like the most stressful thing for you?
Again, school, being non-creative with the other points, but
that's okay.
For me, it's like moving on with this new chapter of my life. Like I'm in my last year of high school, so I also have to worry about what comes next.
Yep. That's huge. You're in grade 12, you're graduating. And so the extra stress of school isn't just, hey, I need to graduate, because I think we all know you're going to graduate. You'll be fine. But you're like, what do I do next with life? Like, and you kind of feel like I have to have it all figured out. It's okay. You don't. What about you, Este? What's the most stressful thing?
It's definitely school for sure. And I'm at school every day. So it's, there's a lot of school to do. We get like assignments all the time and there's so much to do. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, well, right after this, I'm going to get another one. And it's stressful.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys this though. I wish I could say that after school, that feeling of something else is just coming up that I got to do goes away. No, it doesn't go away. That's just life, and that's okay. But you know what? As much as you all had the same answer, it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's not like you have to be creative with your answer. It's because the reality is that for a lot of us, for many high school students, the most stressful thing right now is school. Like it's basically your full-time job is school and learning, right? So it's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing surprising about that. But so how do you guys like control your stress? You know, you're all stressed out about school. Like what do you do to handle it, to get it a little bit of escape or to relieve that stress? Like what's your number one thing?
Well, Justin, what do you do to handle your stress?
What do I do? Well, maybe I'll tell you at the end if you guys go first.
Yeah, fair.
It's a great question though. She's like, you just give us the answer now, and then I'll say, yeah, that's what I do too. You know.
I think like trying to control your stress is where I struggle the most, because I'll end up just like whatever. I'll just get it all done, you know, be freaked out and then be relieved at the end. But then that actually doesn't end out well, because then I'll just end up not being myself and like saying stuff that I don't want to say, and then like beating up my family basically. So
you bottle it up a little bit, and
yeah,
then it eventually comes out, and you just punch your brother.
yeah,
Something like that. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. So bottling it up, yeah, and you're saying it may not be the best solution, but
well, yeah, I'm saying like that's what I need like help with in a way. Like
for sure,
I don't know how to control stress.
That's fair. I mean, you don't have to have that all figured out. That's okay. What about somebody else? How do you deal with it? Like, what's your main way?
Well, for me, like I said last time, since instead of being stressed all day, like get all done in the beginning, all your schoolwork, because that's kind of causing the most stress. So once it's all done, then you're free.
So you're saying you don't get stressed, or you deal with your stress, I should say. You still get stressed.
Yeah.
By not procrastinating.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Again, it's great advice. Like it's so hard to do though, right? Like I'm just not. Have you ever had a week where you're like, I'm not going to procrastinate at all, and then it's Friday and you're like, dang it.
Next week.
Next week next month I'm not going to procrastinate at all. Well, one of you other guys.
I have it a lot of times where I'm like, I kind of do the opposite of Estee, which is like so bad, because I mean, I agree. Like, you know, if I just like get all my work done, then I'm like, okay, like I'm good for the rest of the week or for the rest of the day kind of thing. And then I'm not like thinking about it all day. But a lot of times I'll just be like, oh, like I have to work, so I'm not gonna have time for school today, even though obviously I still have lots of time for school. So I'll just kind of like put it off, and I'll be like, I'll do it when I get home from work. And then I don't usually get home till 10. So then I'll be like, oh, whatever, it's too late now. And it's just kind of like
tired.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, but then when there's times where I'm like actually like, hey, no, like I got to do my school. So I find what helps, it's like really weird, but I started like working out again. So it's like, I'll like sit down and do school for maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I'll be like, oh, I got to go like do a little workout. So like go do something for 20 minutes and then come back to schoolwork. And I find that helps so much, because then I'm like, you know, active and like actually doing something.
Yeah.
And like both ways.
It's achieved.
Yeah. That's really great. That's really great advice. Before I let Matt answer, that's like one of my main ways is I enjoy working out. And for me, it's, you know, you just get yourself moving, get your blood flowing. It's healthy for you. Totally agree. It's a great outlet. And it doesn't have to be that for you. Like it's not for everybody, but it is a great thing. And, you know, everybody should get some form of physical activity. So I can't recommend that one enough. It's definitely helpful. But I think the big thing I would take away from what you said, Tiff, is giving yourself like some sort of designated break where you're like, okay, I'm going to work on this for a bit. Then I'm going to take a break, cool down, breathe, and then get back to it. I think that's really good. Yeah. What about you, Matt? Like, what do you do when you're stressed?
Well, you and Tiff already said it. Working out, like just not even working out, but like doing something that you're able to stay focused on, that like that's the only thing in your mind.
Right. I also love going for walks. I sound like an old man right now. You just go for an old walk and, you know.
Well, and another one that I like to do that really helps is writing everything down, like a checklist. So like if you're like, I have to do this and this and this, and that's what causes your stress, is like you have all on your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do any of it. This is hard. So if writing it down and then checking it off each one, it really helps.
That's really good. I don't know if everybody heard. I'm going to make fun of myself for a second, but I went, but I had like a voice crack and I was like, Anyways, we'll move past it because what Este said is fantastic. I love that, Este. Write it down, get it out of your brain. Because how many times you're like, I'm going to remember to do that thing at that time. And then you're giving your brain too much work. You know, write it down. That is so good. That is so good. Yeah, that's great. I appreciate what everybody's saying and your honesty, Zach, to say, I'm not very good at dealing with stress. I lose it on my family. If you guys were all to like think of like what's like a negative thing that you do when you're stressed, like what's one thing that you tend to typically go to that is destructive or not positive, negative? Like what's that one thing that you tend to lean towards? For some people, it's like food, or it's I just bottle it up and I get mad, or whatever it is. Like share like one thing that you actually struggle with when it comes to stress.
I definitely struggle with bottling it up. Because, like, especially in this season and, like, with the lockdown and everything, I can't really, like, go to school and, like, hang out with all my friends, right? And so I'm in the house all day, every day, and I'm with the same people, like, for months. And so that could get really repetitive. So I'll just bottle it all up, and then it'll end up in a negative way, you know?
So just not finding a way to let it out. Somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I find a lot of times I'll be like, okay, you know, like something's going on, like I got to talk to God about it, like I got to go to God, and I'll like try and like, you know, spend time like reading my devotions and like talking to him about it. And like when I'm actually like in the mindset to do it, then it's like really great, right? But then there's the times where I'll be like, you know, kind of like what Zach said, just kind of like bottle it up. And all of a sudden my parents will be like, why are you being so grumpy? Like what is going on kind of thing. And I'll just be like, you know what, like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they'll be like, hey, well, go talk to God about it then. So I'll be like, yeah, you know what, you're right. So like go downstairs, but then I just get so frustrated. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want to. I just got to like, get all my stuff done. And then just like how Zach said, then it just like ends up negatively.
Yeah.
I can't find the words, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
That's actually like a really good point. Like, I feel like in lockdown, like with all the stuff coming at like students and stuff, that it actually is really hard to stay connected with God, make like him a priority.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just our whole routine's been shaken up, right? And so I think there's something positive in it because we can relearn that, oh, hey, God is everywhere.
Yeah.
I can connect with him at home, but it just feels a little different and it's not forced. You have to own it, right? And I think that's why it's so hard. And I felt that too. So that's totally fair.
Exactly. And I mean, like, it's also easier because like when it's not locked down, right, then you have, oh, like my parents are like, hey, get ready for youth. It's Thursday night, time to go to youth. And it's like, oh, right, like I'll go to youth. But then it's like at home, I'm like, you know, I don't have time to log into youth. I have to do an assignment or I have to do this or that. And then it's like, you kind of just get distracted. And it's like, okay, you know what? My week could have gone so much better if I had just seen my friends at youth, or, you know what I mean? Like just had like that kind of support. And so I find stuff too.
Yeah, you don't have time. It's like, since it's, especially now, it is you're logging in, you're like, but like when it was actually we were going, then you were going and it was more fun because you got to see everybody in person.
Yeah.
And just it's like a login. It's like
it's easier to make the time when you're going to attend that thing, whatever. It's a little more fun. But you make the time. It's a habit, right? And when you're at home, you have to kind of own it yourself. And I think that's what I'm hearing. And that's something I totally agree. I struggle with, right? And it's like you almost have more time in a way now because you're at home. But if you don't prioritize that time, the time gets away from you so easily. Like you can't just come to youth on Thursday or whatever program or event that you would go to, a sporting thing, and then be on YouTube. And it doesn't really work. You're just, you know, you can do that, but it's like, it's not as common. But then at home, it's like, well, YouTube's right here. You know, nobody would even know. It's just, it's so much easier to, yeah, for sure. What's a negative thing for you, Matt?
Procrastination too. Like just going down that rabbit hole of like, oh, I've been working for so long, I deserve a break. Oh well, it's really late, I should just go to bed.
Yep. I hear you, man. I struggle with procrastination too. We got to be like Este though. That's what we got to do. Just get it done in the morning. Be a rock star.
Bring it down.
Quote, be like Este.
Yeah, we're gonna make shirts.
All
Be
you
like
gotta do.
Este. That's all you got to do. You got to be like Este. Walk your neighbor's dog, and get all your schoolwork done in the morning. That's what you have to do. So, yeah. No, that's good. That's good. So what would you say? So, we've talked a little bit about what we do when we're stressed and what's a negative way that we handle stress, but why don't you share a time or an example of something that really helps you when you're stressed? Like what's one of the most positive experiences that you've ever had relieving stress? Even if you don't do it consistently or you forget, like what's something that is genuinely helping you relieve stress and it's positive for your life?
Ooh. Reading your Bible. It is awesome because you're in like a whole nother world when you're reading it. It's like all your distractions are gone. Like when you're reading your Bible, they're not in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're just reading it and you're like, oh, this is so good. And you're not worrying about all the stuff that you have to do or that is stressful in your life.
Let me just throw a little wrench into that. Do you ever find yourself a little more stressed when you read your Bible?
I do when I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like,
that's true.
I'm like, I have no idea what this means. How am I supposed to like obey this or like not obey it? But like, you know what I mean? Like, how am I supposed to act on this if I don't even get it? So that's when I get like, just. Yeah.
There's both sides of that spectrum. And so I appreciate, both of you saying that because I agree, Estee. There's sometimes stuff that I'll read and I feel so much peace. I'm like, this is so great. And Jesus is, he's awesome. And there's other times where I'm like, what does this mean? Or there's something Jesus will say that's so heavy. And I'm like, I feel convicted and I need to like make a change in my life. And then that's a little stressful too, right? But stress in a good way, I guess, if it's for the better and for being more like God. But I think that's a great answer though. Like it is absolutely essential to read, to get into the word and to spend some time doing that. Even if you get a little confused sometimes, like just taking that time to meditate on it. Like, God, what does this mean? What is this saying?
Yeah.
Well, I find a lot. Oh, sorry. When I find a lot of my relief is when I get everything done and like I actually have that free time that I'm not like pushing anything aside. It's like actually I've done everything and like I can do whatever I want now.
Mm-hmm. So be like Estee is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Be like Estee.
No, that's true. Like that time when you're like, hey, I actually did everything. I'm not just putting it off till tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have an evening off. Yeah. I mean, that is great advice. Yeah.
That's what I did.
Like Estee. You did it.
That's morning, and I felt so accomplished. I like got up right away, like went to my desk, joined Zoom, right? Got a couple assignments done, had a shower, went for a walk, and I'm just like, wow, like today's going really great.
100%. Yeah. Even just taking care of yourself. Like I'm going to go have a shower. Oh, I've been at home for a few days. Haven't really been doing that. I'm not going out. I should do that. I should go for a walk. I should brush my hair, do laundry, like whatever. I don't know if you guys are actually doing your laundry. Maybe you should start, but you know what I mean? Like those kinds of things that are kind of like chores, like taking care of yourself in your home that you live in, your room, whatever that is, those ultimately, well, you're not like, I'm going to feel so much less stressful if I do that chore. You don't think that, but when you actually do it, it actually is helpful. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very.
It's frustrating for me because usually like to like not really cope with stress, but like deal with stress and like handle it and stuff. I would just be like, I'd have soccer 2 to 3 times a week. So I'd be like, oh, I'll go play soccer. I got to go practice, or, you'd have a game or this and that. And that was like, for me, a big, like, that's one of my things that like helped with all that. And it's like, you don't think about anything else besides the game. And like, that's how I do it. But now it's like, you don't get to play soccer. And so at like the first lockdown last year, I was like struggling like crazy because I'm like, what do I do kind of thing? Like, yeah, I can practice by myself in the backyard or with one of my brothers, but you can only handle that for so long. So it's like, you kind of just had to like, that's why when I said that I started working out again, because it was like, I had to kind of find a replacement for that. And it like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's really smart. Like if there's something that you used to do in your life that you can't do right now and you haven't replaced that, well, that could be a huge, stress source, so maybe that's some awesome advice. If you're a student watching this, take that advice and run with it. Like if I am missing out on something, find a replacement for it, because we all need those outlets. Okay, so I have a question. If you had a friend and or even a cousin or somebody like that that looked up to you and they came to you and they're like, I'm just so stressed, whether it's their family or school or whatever it is, like, and if they were just sharing with you, I'm so stressed about this, like what's some piece of advice that you would give them if they were to come to you? Like what would you tell them to do if somebody that you knew that looked up to you was stressed and they wanted to know what you think?
They be like Estee.
That's right, that's it. You got to be like Estee. And Estee, you wouldn't say be like Estee. That'd be weird. You say be like me.
Be like me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think I would probably like tell them just pray about it and like stay in the word, and like even though it's like way easier said than done, and like there are times when like Estee said, when you're like more like into it and you just like you don't want to stop reading your Bible, and you know what I mean, and it's like feels so good. But there's also other times where you're like so frustrated and you're like I just don't want to do this right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, even though like you feel like it's wrong, it's like no, like I'm supposed to be like in, I think it's like First Peter, it says cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you.
That's right.
And it's like, no, like that is what we're supposed to be doing. And like even though like working out is great, or playing sports is great, and this and that, it's like, and like journaling, it's like really like we should be going to God with all of it. So I think I'd probably just try and tell them to do that and like stay in the word and stuff.
For sure. That's awesome advice.
Yeah.
Este's like, yeah, that is my answer. Be like me and that.
I would probably say make every day different. So it's not like this constant routine of like doing this, doing that. Where like, I'm going to go for a walk today. Okay, next day, I'm going to do something, like just not make every day the same basic lifestyle.
Especially in this season, I think that is good advice. Like sometimes you just need a little change of scenery. And if that's going for a walk, then do it. I don't care if you feel like an old person, just get out, and just do something for sure. What about you, Matt? Like you're the wise one in this group. You're in grade 12. You're looking at universities, colleges.
That's a lot of pressure right there. I would just say to find your peace, like what brings you peace. Like Tiff, it would have been soccer. For you, Justin, it would be working out, journaling, whatever. Find out what that is and then just go to that when you feel stressed.
Yeah, we all need something like that. We're humans and none of us are perfect, and something like that can be such just an outlet. And I actually, both Tiff and Matt have mentioned the idea of journaling. And I think that's really smart. Like actually writing it out. Like, what are you stressed about? Write it down. And then actually say, just cast your anxieties onto God because he cares about you. It's a great verse, but it's like, how do I do that? Like I don't know. How do you cast it? Maybe you write it down and you say, I'm stressed about this. I'm giving it to you, Jesus. Maybe it's that simple, and that is just a reminder. You write it out with your hand or type it out or whatever that might be on your phone or computer, laptop, and maybe it's just that simple act. And I think the one thing that I would say is if somebody came to me and they were stressed and they were looking for something, I think the first thing that I would do is listen. I think listening is such an underrated answer.
Yeah.
But it's so important because I think you all know that if you've been in a conversation with somebody and they didn't just hear you, but they really listened, there's something about that is relieving of stress, right? Like even just getting it out there, somebody who actually cares is taking it all in, having that attention, like something about that relieves stress, right? And I've said this quote a bunch of times with our students. Matt already knows that it's coming. I could see him smirking as soon as I said the word listen. But this quote is that listening is so close to loving that most people can't tell the difference. Yeah. So maybe something that we can do to some of our friends, even our family members, maybe it's even our parents, is listen to them when they're stressed and they're talking about something. It's just actually hear them out for real, give actual attention, not on my phone at the same time, right? Like really listening. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice, but No, I really like this topic, not because I like stress, nobody does, but because it's something that we need to talk about more and more. And today that we're actually recording this on is actually the Bell Let's Talk Day. So whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't matter if it's, months down the road or a few days from now. This is something that's really prevalent and really heavy, and mental health is really important, and stress can be a big part of that. And you guys know how true that is in your own lives too. So if I just wanted to say this shout out, if you are listening to this and you're struggling with any sort of mental health, whatever it might be, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. You don't have to struggle alone. The stress will not overcome you if you don't do it alone. We're not meant to do life alone. So there's nothing wrong with asking for help and just saying the stress is too much. There are solutions and people who care about you and love you. So that's just an encouragement I wanted to throw out there for whoever might need to hear that. But that's really good. And I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. Like, I really appreciate you coming on here and you sharing and us having this great open conversation. Again, I've said it before at the beginning and I'll keep saying it. I think you as high schoolers have so much to offer and you have so much potential. So I love being able to sit down and have these kinds of conversations and chat about these things, because I think that it's not just high school students who could receive from this. It's anybody, because you guys are just wonderful people with something to offer. So thanks for coming on. We are looking forward to Hotspot coming up soon in the future. It's going to be every Friday, every single Friday. We got a new episode coming out. We're going to be talking about different topics with real life, different things that come up in the world, and hearing some high school student perspective on that, which is something that I think is really exciting to be able to hear more of, and to know where you guys are at and what you're struggling with, what you're seeing, and to see what you guys are hoping for. So we really appreciate you checking it out. Make sure that you check us out next Friday. Subscribe if you are not, to our YouTube, so you don't miss anything. And we just appreciate it. Have a great one. All the best.